Out of India's 140 crore population, the population of Gujarati and Marwari people is only 5%. But the 50% wealth of this country is with these 5% people. This is not a conspiracy, but a mindset that you can also learn. And the proof of this is that the success of the Gujarati community is not only in India, but also in America. In the US population, Indians are only 1% and only a few of them are Gujarati Patel. But even then, in America's hospitality industry, more than 40% of the owners are Gujarati. But the surprising thing is that before 1970, Gujaratis in the US were equal to Na. So why did so many Gujaratis come to the US and how did so few people dominate such a big industry? We get the answer to this from Mohnish Pabrai's book Dhando. We have always learned that if you want more rewards, then you will have to take a big risk. But Gujarati's Dhando mindset is exactly the opposite. Which says, heads I win, tails I don't lose much. That means the risk should be as less as possible and the reward should be very high. And the same philosophy is followed by other business communities like Marwari. But before the 1970s, Patels were not in the US. So how did all this happen? Before coming to the US, Gujarati Patels used to run their business in Uganda. But everything changed in 1972. General Idi Amin became the dictator of Uganda. And he believed that only Africans should have the right to the business, properties and money of Africa. He took over the business and property of millions of Patels and threw them out of his country. Now about 70,000 Gujaratis had to find a new home for themselves. And at this time, the conditions of India were not very good. They had some options of Western countries. Many of them shifted to England and Canada. And the rest of the refugees came to the US. So when a Patel family used to reach the US, the father of the Patel family used to earn money. Now in this new country, where they did not know English well, finding a job for them was a very difficult job. Now Papa Patel noticed that in America, many communities used to hold different businesses. Like Koreans were in the grocery business, Chinese people were in the laundry business, and Indians and Pakistanis were usually in the cab services by that time. They did not understand what to do at this time, how to feed their wives and children. So they thought that they should start working in a grocery shop. After some time, they saw an opportunity. Where they saw that there was a motel in front of the shop. Where it was written from the bank, for sale for $50,000. This was because at that time, the US-Vietnam War was going on. And no one was traveling that much. Because of this, the motels were in loss. And the bank was seizing all the properties and selling them at a discount. They started their business mindset. And they thought that people are not going out because of the war. But when everything will be fine in the future, then this motel business can be profitable again. So they collected their savings from their relatives, and by paying a down payment of $5,000, bought that 20-room motel. Out of 20 rooms, they used to keep 3 to 4 rooms for themselves, for the living of their family. Because of this, their rent used to be saved. They didn't need to keep employees in that motel, because all the family members used to work. So the salary money used to be saved. The men of that family used to go out and do small jobs, to earn more money. And the women used to sit at the reception to take care of the customers. And on weekends, they used to do all the maintenance work. They used to make their motel better. Now, it was not their rent expense because they used to stay in the motel. They used to cook food there. And they used to do all the maintenance work themselves. Because of this, they used to do a lot of cost cutting. And used to give their rooms at the cheapest price. Because of this, their sales started increasing. And when the war ended and the situation started becoming normal, so their sinking motel business became a very profitable business. As the profits increased, they kept expanding their business. They started acquiring hotels away from the motel. Slowly, Dunkin' Donuts 7 to 11. And by doing this, they became one of the richest communities in America. This story was of many Gujarati and Marwari families, who went to the US at that time. who were inspired by their thinking by Mohnish Pabrai, who came up with the Dhando framework. Along with this, I will tell you about the 7 rules that can be applied in every business. This first rule may not be liked by YouTube finance gurus. But this is the simplest way to earn money. Gujarati and Marwadi people know this very well. That it takes a lot of effort to start any business with a scratch. And the risk is also very high. Even after so much effort, there is no guarantee that the business will make a profit or not. Now, they have a very simple rule. They should get a return within 3 years on their capital. Most of us think that we should do a business that is not everyone's cup of tea, which not everyone can understand and copy. That's why people will tell you about different types of complicated businesses on YouTube. They're only Gujarati and Marwadi people pick such businesses, which are not very interesting to hear. But they are very easy to understand. They are very simple. Because they know one thing. There are some basic needs of a person. And if you keep fulfilling them, then your business will continue in the long term. Rule number 1 is, buy a simple existing business. So, it is better to create a business and make it bigger. That you buy such businesses whose market position is already good. Their business model is proven. Now, sales are also good there. Now, all of you must be listening about artificial intelligence. But this second rule will force you to think. So, listen to it carefully. Once Warren Buffett said in an interview, "Change is the biggest enemy of our investment." That's why we should invest in such businesses whose rate of change is very slow. That means, such businesses which don't change much. They are always almost the same. Like motels business. No matter what happens. If people travel, then they have to stop somewhere. There are many more businesses like this, whose rate of change is very slow. That's why rule number 2 is, focus on buying businesses with an ultra-slow rate of change. For example, if you think about this thing, that after 50 years, companies like Coca-Cola and McDonald's will remain in the market or not. Most likely, these companies will remain in the market. Because we humans have some weaknesses. Eating tasty, sugary, fatty food. That too quickly and conveniently. For the last 50 years, these companies are in the market because of this specialty. And until people like to eat and drink like this, till then, these companies will remain in the business. The rate of change of these businesses is very slow. People's taste buds don't change overnight. If you take another example, that after 50 years, will companies like YouTube, Facebook and Netflix remain in the market or not? It is more difficult to answer this question. Because these companies are based on technology, which keeps changing very fast. In the future, Netflix and YouTube may have better options in the market. Or something like this. That we don't need these apps. That's why for long-term investing, you should invest in such industries whose rate of change is slow. Now rule number 3 will seem a little evil. But in business, all this has to be done. What has to be done? Listen further. In 2005, in the list of the richest people in the world, number 1 was Bill Gates. And number 3 was a Marwadi businessman, Lakshmi Mittal. But the interesting thing is that Bill Gates and Lakshmi Mittal's business journey started at the same time, where Bill Gates was selling software in less and less expenses. He was getting exponential growth. Lakshmi Mittal was doing very basic steel business. Steel industry is a very comparative industry. To start it, you need a lot of capital. You have to buy raw materials. You have to set up big plants. It takes a lot of money. And even after this, there is not much profit in this work. Because the price of steel is decided by the market. Generally, people stay away from such businesses. But Lakshmi Mittal built all her wealth in this steel business. And in 1976, she started a small mill in Indonesia. And slowly, she kept expanding her mills. Now her most interesting strategy was, whenever she used to get another mill, which was running in the valley, which business was actually in trouble, he used to buy them. For example, if you take an example. In Kazakhstan, there was a steel company called Karmat Steel Works, which was about to shut down. Because at that time, the demand for steel was very low. Their business was not going well. And their employees did not get salary for months. On seeing this opportunity, they bought this steel company at a very cheap rate. They gave their salary to all the employees, changed the business model, and made it profitable within 5 years. Using the same strategy, they expanded their business in countries like Romania and Mexico. So rule no. 3 is buy distressed businesses in distressed industries. According to this rule, we should invest in such businesses in which there is a problem right now. There are such situations in the market that they are not able to run profitably. But we should know that because of time and skills, we can make that business profitable. Following this rule, Gujarati Patels invested in the motel business. Because of the situation at that time, no one was traveling. That industry was in a lot of trouble. But they knew that the business of the motels is solid. And if we keep our costs low and keep running it, then we will get big returns in the future. This is a similar example. During COVID, many people invested in the stock of airlines. And now they are in profit. To understand rule number 4, I will explain it to you in medieval history. In the old days, there used to be a well around the fort, in which water was filled. Sometimes there were maggots in it. This was because when someone tried to attack the fort, then they could not reach the fort. The same happens in business. The more successful you are in business, the more people come to snatch your market share from you. So the businesses around which there is this food, which is called a moat, they are more safe. If you invest your money in any business, then you should know what is that special thing in your business, which makes it better than your competitors. This is rule number 4. Always invest in businesses with durable moats. For example, suppose there is a juice shop in your area, where everyone comes to drink juice. Now if another juice shop opens in that area, then you will have to reduce your price. Otherwise people will drink juice from the same place where they get cheaper. But if you have made moats in your business, then you will not have to reduce your price. For example, you can increase the quantity of juice. Or you can use high-quality fruits and vegetables. You can make your own special recipe of mixes or milkshakes, which no one else can copy. All these things will work as moats for you. Then no matter how many shops open in the area, you will have a loyal customer base. Those moats make a business different from your competitors. If you want to keep your business safe, then you will have to pay attention to those small things, which your competitors ignore. Next rule is a secret sauce. To earn a lot of money in less time. In November 1963, Warren Buffett invested 40% of his company Buffett Partnerships' total assets in only one business, American Express. It was a business where he had no control or influence. At that time his company had around $17.5 million. So in total he invested $7 million in only one company, American Express shares. It seemed very risky from the outside. But Buffett knew something else. American Express had a big loss due to the salad oil crisis. The company gave a loan of $60 million against collateral, which were the tanks of salad oil. Salad oil is a kind of light-tasting vegetable oil, which is put in salads. Later it was known that there was mostly water in the tanks. and his borrower got bankrupt. American Express announced a loss of $60 million. And his shares became half. At that time his total market cap was around $150 million. So the loss of $60 million is a big thing for Amex. Now you see the business of Warren Buffett. Mr. Buffett carefully analyzed the situation and concluded that until the American Express travelers' checks and the trust related to credit cards will be intact, the company's intrinsic value will be much higher than the market price. He felt that the core business of this company is still fine. And the share price that has fallen is actually a discount. That's why he invested his 40% net worth in the same scandal-hit business. And earned a lot of profit. This is rule number 5. Bet heavily when the odds are overwhelmingly in your favor. So when the opportunity is good, you should bet big. And the rest of the time you should stay calm. Warren Buffett could do this because his psychology was under his control. I will tell you about this later. Now if you understand the next rule, then you will see the biggest opportunity in front of you, which millions of Indians are using. Suppose you are getting a sari for 15,000 in Mumbai. But the price of the same sari is 10,000 rupees in Surat. So if we buy it from Surat for 10,000 and sell it in Mumbai for 15,000, then we earn a profit of 5,000. In the same way, if today the price of gold is 50,000 rupees, and if after a month this gold becomes 55,000 rupees, then you earn a profit of 5,000 rupees in a month. This is called arbitrage, which is our rule number 6. In the case of sari, arbitrage of place. And in the case of gold, arbitrage of time. In the same way, dollar-rupee arbitrage, which millions of Indians use to earn money online. If you live in India, then your monthly expense will be $500. But if you live in the US, then you will need at least $3,000 to $4,000 to survive. Similarly, if you offer your skills for writing, video editing, coding, then you can charge less than the people living in the US. But still you can live a very good life. Because of this concept, so many call centers and IT companies have been made in India. But the important thing is that arbitrage does not always stay. Gradually, cost of living will increase in India. And this arbitrage will not be as effective. But as long as it is available, you should take full advantage of it. Now the next rule will sound very strange to you. But when you listen to its logic, it will make sense. Rule number 7 is: invest in the copycats, not the innovators. Most people think that there should be a very unique idea to succeed in business. But innovation by definition is very risky. If you take the example of Patels, then all the Patels who opened the Mortals after 1970, they all used a similar model. Why? Because it was a model that worked. There was no need for innovation. Similarly, if you see, then Snapchat did real innovation by bringing stories. But Facebook copied that feature. And now it has become one of the core features of Instagram. And Facebook's market cap is much more than Snapchat. So if you are looking for a company to invest your money, then investing in innovation is risky. But investing in copycats is considered safe to a large extent. But you can apply these 7 rules only then. Understand one thing about which I gave you a hint earlier. That is your psychology. I have expanded my video on psychology of money in the book summary, which you can click here and see. You can see the suggestion of the next book summary in the comments. And that's it for now. Thanks for watching.